friends, welcome to Puerto Rico. My name is Mackenzie, this is my channel Think Too Much. Like and subscribe if you want. Here's our snack hall in our very messy room. It's a good one. Max and I are in Guanica, Puerto Rico right now at a resort called Copa Marina. We came here last year and we really like it, obviously, because we're back and like the prices aren't crazy. Yeah, so we're back. We're doing a little beach vacay. It was my birthday the day we got here, which was February 2nd. So this is kind of like a birthday trip. I don't know if anyone else has this experience where like I feel like I struggle sometimes to like settle into vacation. I don't know. Figuring out how to like embrace doing nothing and also not overthinking having a good time when I'm paying tons of money. Something I kind of struggle with, but I feel like we're pretty much settled in now. Max the other day said something about vacations being good for reflecting and thinking and like being alone with your thoughts, and now he refuses to remember it. You really don't remember?
I don't remember exactly.
I mean, obviously I don't either, but I thought it was a nice insight.
Thank you.
And I feel like that's a little bit of the theme for this vacation for me, maybe. Is thinking about you talking about how vacation is good for thinking about things.
The theme is you thinking about me saying that it was good for thinking.
Well, no, also the things, also the actual thinking.
Also the thinking.
Yeah,
Okay,
you just talked about happening on vacation.
Thinking too much or just thinking irregularly?
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Hi again. I think I kind of mentioned this earlier, but at some point during the trip, Max kind of turned to me and said something about like how vacation is about like being alone with your thoughts and like reflecting. So I guess kind of like in that theme, I wanted to kind of talk about maybe what I was like reflecting on a little bit more during this trip. I don't know, when we first got here, maybe when I was on the flight over, I was kind of considering this, and I don't know what made me think about it in particular, but I was thinking about how, I guess just like at various points in my life, somewhat frequently actually, I've noticed kind of two things. The first is that I've kind of readily believed other people when they tell me how I feel, and I'll explain that maybe by referencing like an SNL skit. There was like an SNL skit with Dakota Johnson hosting, and she was, it was like they were at a wine thing, she was hanging out with friends, and she was gonna be like a millionaire by selling this t-shirt, which like summed up all the truth or whatever. And basically the t-shirt said something like, oh, what was it? I think it like mimicked an exchange where it's like, are you okay? The person's like, no, I'm fine. The person asks again, are you okay? The person says, no, I'm fine. But like, it's kind of mocking this, like, kind of like asking someone if they're okay over and over again until like she starts crying. And I guess I just kind of like kickstarted this like thinking of like when that's happened to me in my life. I don't know if I've cried every time, but sometimes it's like anger, sometimes it's like, it does like some emotion eventually comes out. And I was kind of thinking about it, and it's like, I almost feel like our assumption about those interactions is that, oh, but no, deep down, something wasn't okay. And that's why the person is upset now. But I guess I was kind of thinking about it, especially like for myself, and thinking about like the most recent time it happened to me. And I guess I kind of maybe changed my thinking a little bit. I think that that can be true sometimes, but I guess it kind of like clicked, especially because, well, one, kind of like recognizing this thing as like somewhat of a universal experience, maybe particularly to women, kind of got me thinking like, you know, I kind of wonder if like being asked over and over again if like you're okay, or like someone being like, but you don't seem fine, but you don't seem fine. I wonder if it can be upsetting, like not because you're actually not okay, but if it can be upsetting because like you're kind of being told over and over again that you're not like performing happiness well enough. And so it's almost like someone telling you that you're doing something wrong again and again. Like you think you're just existing, and then someone's like, no, but something's wrong. Like something that you're doing is like unsettling or like disturbing to me, to the point where like I don't believe you if you tell if you tell me that like something deeper isn't going on. And I think that that can be upsetting because it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like a people pleasing thing. Maybe it's like, it's just uncomfortable to hear that like other people are displeased with like how you're existing. That it's like, you're just kind of minding your business, and it can be really frustrating. I think if someone's kind of maybe projecting, in this instance, like projecting their like discomfort onto you and telling you that it's something that you're doing or like you're performing incorrectly. And also kind of like being told that you can't trust your own instincts about yourself. Not that that's necessarily what people are trying to say. Like maybe they're just trying to get it out of you because they think that you're like lying and saying that you're fine. But still, like I think I've had moments like that where people are asking me if I'm okay, and I'm like, I'm fine. And then I'm thinking about it harder as they continue to press, because I'm like, well, am I okay? I don't know. Like, if this person is telling me that I'm wrong, and like that is also a really uncomfortable experience of like not being able to trust like your own awareness of like how you're feeling in that moment. I don't know, I think the skit and just like reflection on it just kind of made it like click into place for me, where I'm like, it's so weird that I would believe other people who are like telling me how I feel in a given moment. Because like I think, and this is something I work on in myself, like I think I'm a pretty emotionally intelligent person. I'm like pretty in touch with my own feelings. Like I do like thought work, I like look into coaching stuff, like I'm pretty in touch. So it's like, I don't know, it just kind of made me chuckle, where it's like I feel pretty confident about that, and yet like I'd never really made the connection of like other people trying to tell me how I feel and being like, maybe don't. Like I think I'm aware, I'm like really tuned in. Like the channel is called Think Too Much for a reason. Like I think a lot about stuff. Like my own thoughts and reflections as well, like more so. So I was kind of like, I guess, reflecting on that a little bit, and how like I kind of want to move forward with like maybe the attitude of like, when other people tell me how I'm feeling, like I really want to be critical of it. Like sure, like I want to be open-minded, I guess. Like, oh, maybe someone's like checking in, and like I can check in with myself if I feel like I owe that to them. But that's another thing where it's like, I don't know, do you have the right to like force me to grapple with this thing in this moment? Like I think that's kind of for me to decide. But fine, say it's like, I think I'm fine. Someone's like, are you okay? Like, I guess check in, but then just like decide, like, no, I'm good. You gotta leave me alone. I wouldn't literally say that, but I'd be like, no, I'm genuinely good. Like, and I don't really want to talk about this anymore. But it's like kind of a hard thing to like wriggle out of, because if someone doesn't believe you, it's like, okay. But maybe just kind of knowing that like my emotional response is going to be related to like feeling like I'm making them uncomfortable, and like that is like frustrating to me or upsetting to me, because it's just like, I don't know, the general discomfort of like just existing and it being upsetting to someone, like that sucks. That feels bad. I don't know if that needs to be said or if it's obvious, but it does suck. It does feel bad. And like I think sometimes if people kind of dig at you and it's something is actually wrong, like fucking Max will tell you. He'll ask me sometimes, and like I will be upset, I will be hiding something, but I'm like aware of it. It's the times where I'm like, I don't know, that I think I want to kind of check in with myself and be like, yes you do, this is them, not you. Not that it like needed a resolution, I just kind of thought it was like an interesting thing to observe. And then I guess the second thing that I've been thinking about a little bit more is also related to this. It's like another thing where it's like people tell me about myself kind of a thing. But I've always had a pretty like deep voice, and I guess I'll describe it as like, I've been always pretty deadpan. People have described me as kind of like a monotone before. Like I think maybe I just like don't inflect a ton. I'm whatever. I'm not really sure, but I don't know, this kind of thing got me thinking about that, got me questioning that a little bit more, because it's like more things that people tell me about myself. And I also was kind of thinking about, it's like, it's also similar in that it's usually kind of called out to me in an instance where like someone is explaining their discomfort with my existing. I feel like this sounds sad. It's not as sad as it is. I actually think it's kind of funny that like people are confused by my deadpanness. And I also think it's like a wonderful addition to my humor. So please do not watch this and be like, oh, poor thing. I just kind of want to talk about it because like I wonder if it's somewhat of a universal experience. Like, and even if, you know, you're not necessarily deadpan, but you're like something else that people feel the need to call out to you and tell you that like it makes them uncomfortable, or it made them like question themselves, or they weren't really sure how to read it. I don't know. I just kind of thought it was interesting. I was talking to Max about it last night, actually. I was telling him how an old friend of mine in high school had said something like, oh, you never register above an emotional 3. And like, I've kind of made that joke here and there with like friends and amongst Max, and Max is always like, that's not true. I don't know if like it's just because you don't show them, but like that's just not true. And I don't know, I just think it's like kind of funny. one, other people like debating how I am. But like, I don't know. I can't really say how other people perceive me other than what they say to me. I can tell you how I'm feeling, but I can't necessarily tell you how they perceive me. But anyway, we were talking about that a little bit more, and he was like, somehow, I can't remember if it was him or me, but we kind of, again, got on the topic of gender. I think he said something to the effect of like, he's like, I don't think anyone would tell me like how they perceive like my speaking. That it's like, I don't think anyone would say that to me. Not because he's not deadpan, but like, I don't know that anyone would like feel the need to like, you know, voice their observations of him to him, explaining how it may have made them uncomfortable. He was like, I haven't had that experience, or just like, I don't think someone would do that to me. And kind of talking about it as like a little bit of a gendered phenomenon. The reason this relates to the other thing is because it's similarly being told that you're not like performing your feelings or performing your attitude. You're not performing it in a way that's like making this person comfortable. One, as if that's for you to decide, like they're the ones who decide like how to interpret the way you're acting. And I don't think for a second like me just like existing and them like projecting their shit onto me is like my responsibility. It's like, I don't know if it would have been that much better if I had a smile plastered on my face, but even if it would have, like, I don't know, it's just like not my responsibility to make you feel okay about whatever is going on with you, especially if you're just like existing. It's one thing if you're being passive aggressive. But if you're just kind of existing and you're like, I don't know what, or even like for me, it's just like the way I speak. And like, I guess people think it's relatively emotionless. And like, as someone who, you know, is privy to my own inner world, like devoid of emotion is not how I would describe it. But it is kind of funny how I've like kind of gotten that feedback in life where it's like friends or even coworkers. It's like people have just kind of described how like, and they didn't necessarily say it to me like right out the gate because like that would be inappropriate. But like at some point maybe they thought I didn't like them, or like they have a hard time gauging whether I was like excited or whatever else, or just like it seemed like I was, I guess it's hard to get into the specifics because it's not my experience, but something to the effect of like my deadpanness like made them uncomfortable because it made them feel like, I don't know, they weren't getting the reaction they wanted like more laughter, more smiles, like just something, which is weird. I think I smile a lot, so that's also confusing. It's hard to say because it's not my experience, but basically like people have voiced to me in the past like, oh, I wasn't sure if you liked me, or I wasn't sure if, not that I was annoyed, but that like, it's mostly, maybe it's just like people not being sure if I like them, if I'm enjoying myself. And it's funny because it's like, it's kind of both, right? That it's, you gotta balance the two. It's like, it's nice that they're kind of thinking of me and they're like thinking of my experience, but also, I also think we need to grapple with the fact that like, it could be someone else's self-consciousness that they are kind of then projecting onto me. And projecting onto me because for women in particular, kind of the cliche of like, people asking them to smile, people asking them to like perform placatedness, like perform happiness in order to make another person feel comfortable. I guess the implication being that like, you know, you're being uncomfortable or unhappy is like a burden that others should not have to bear, or maybe something to that effect. It also could be kind of like a patronizing thing of like, I don't know, it's like we just fear women who aren't happy, essentially. And I think there's like a lot of layers to that, honestly. I think it would be hard to like sum up in one sentence, so I won't necessarily try, but I just thought it was interesting, like kind of connecting the two, especially because like, and I kind of wonder, I'm like, do other women experience this where you just like have people tell you that like something about the way that you kind of carry yourself, something about the way you like existed made them feel like you didn't like them, or like made them kind of question your comfort in a situation? Because it's just feedback I've gotten all the time, and it's like feedback I'll get even like directly after an interaction where I'm like, I feel like I was really I was happy, I feel like I was showing it, I was smiling a lot. So I guess just kind of like connecting the two. And if anyone else experiences that, they're not alone. But also just kind of like keeping in mind to question it, and like maybe the overarching theme of this is kind of like trusting your own sense of self. Trusting yourself before trusting other people to like tell you how you are, tell you how you're feeling. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've been reflecting on here. Good light peach stuff. No, it is actually nice though. It's kind of nice to have those like moments of clarity where you're like, oh my god, this thing I like get in my head about, like I don't have to. It's nice, this maturity thing. Yeah, but that's what I've been thinking about. Anyway, I'm gonna go work out. Everyone look at Max's outfit. So cute.
Dinner time.
We're about to go to dinner. It's our second to last night. I don't know. I was just telling Max I don't know what to say to the vlog.
Happy eating.
Happy eating.
Well, to
I
us,
guess.
not to you.
Yeah. Yeah.